Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly webinar here at Route Consultant, and this one's focused on the bread industry. Now, my name is Josh Gregory. I'm the Vice President of Education here at Route Consultant. My goal in all of this is just to continue to bring all new opportunities to all of you. And then as you're deciding if this is the right space for you, hopefully these webinars will help you accelerate that journey and really get into the weeds of what these spaces can offer you. Now, for those of you who are here live, we will have a pure open Q&A at the end. So as you're listening today, you can think of questions. You can actually go ahead and submit those questions while we're talking. But if you want us to read the questions, make sure you put it in the Q&A button at the bottom of the window. If you put it in the chat, I'm going to miss it. So make sure if you want those questions answered by Stephen and I later, that you put it in the chat or the Q&A button at the bottom. Now, so if you weren't on last week for our formal kickoff for the bread series, we gave an intro to Stephen Ryan and an overview of the bread industry. And so if you missed that, I'd advise as soon as we get off here to go watch it on our YouTube page. But for everybody who's there and everybody who's coming later and not watching live, what we're going to be focusing on this week is talking through how bread routes actually earn revenue and get paid, which can actually be fairly complex. So we've brought Stephen back on. So Stephen, if you want to go ahead and jump on video, I'll let you go ahead and jump in and get started.
Well, hey, Josh, thank you for having me.
Of course.
So when you're looking at these businesses, it's important to remember that these are full commission sales jobs. So there's lots of opportunity. There's an uncapped opportunity to grow your business, to drive sales and drive revenue. So it's not cold sales as you might be familiar with, going door to door. The customer is really brought to you in the grocery store, which is unique and a great advantage to this space. So as you're looking at these businesses and evaluating if this is for you, you'll want to receive a 52-week sales number. And this is going to be broken down by store. And that'll be divided out, of course, by 52 weeks, giving you a weekly average that each store is going to do. And so this is a great baseline to project out, looking at 12-month historicals. That's going to encompass all your holidays, your promotional schedules. If you have snow scares in the South, that's a big thing here. So that's going to be a great baseline to average out the volume and get a good confidence about what you're buying. So within that, you're going to find a commission range from 15 to 25%, depending on the products you're selling, the brands that you're representing, whether it's a private label product, a branded product, or a partner brand. So some routes are really going to vary greatly in commission, and that's going to depend on the stores that you're servicing, the products that you're distributing. There's, of course, going to be a return process. So in the grocery space, you're going to have returns, and that's a very normal part of the business. And each bakery is going to have a process for you to process returns back to the bakery and receive credit for that. So it's also important to remember that you're not required to deliver everything. So there are some companies that have bought pallet programs. And so this is going to be managed through a corporate office. This is going to be promotionally driven. This is going to be pre-built on a pallet. There's going to be graphics on that. That's going to be shipped out to the store directly and cross-merchandised from dock to dock. You're going to receive a commission on that. You're going to pay a pallet fee. But this is really a great advantage of being in the bread space, where there are some products where you're going to receive without ever touching, and you're going to earn a commission on those. So as we get into understanding settlement statements, we want to make sure that we understand promotions and commissions. And some companies are going to pay you a flat rate, regardless of the price point of the product, where others are only going to pay you a commission on the sales price. So that can really vary greatly as you evaluate different companies and compare them against one another. Some brands are very aggressive in how they promote. And if they only pay you on the sale price, that can really drive workload and the number of units that you're going to handle on a weekly basis, where others are going to pay you a full commission regardless of the cost of the product. So these are going to be more premium brands, and these routes are going to come at a more premium price point.
Yeah, and just jumping like Stephen, that's a big point for a lot of people that you won't really understand until you get into the space and really start to see some of those numbers. But the premium brands, where even when they're doing buy one, get one free on products, and you're still getting paid as if it's full price, that is huge because it means you're going to have a big increase in that week for all of the volume you're pushing on those products, but your pay doesn't change at all. Whereas there's other brands that maybe they price in the market where they're always doing sales, and they're always having something on sale, but that doesn't mean that you're getting paid full price. Some of those bakeries are going to pay you only a percentage of the final sale price, not the full price. And so that is really going to affect how much you can make. And there are some of those premium bakeries that are much harder to get listings or much harder to take over one of those businesses just because they're more competitive, they sell at a higher multiple. And a lot of times that alone can affect purchase price when you're looking at these different businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another layer to that. When products are on promotion every week, it kind of loses that special feel. You don't have to buy 2 this week. It's going to be on sale the next week. And so it's important to think about, how many products you're distributing and how often they're on sale, to really capture that promotional price point. So if something is on sale, say 22 weeks out of the year, you're really going to see a big increase in sales when that promotion is ran versus 48 times out of the year. So that's really going to affect the velocity of the promotion. So as we get past promotions, we talk about inventory adjustments. So it's important to know that on your settlement statement, how inventory adjustments are calculated. So we're getting down to our net dollar amount, and as products are billed out to you for easy math, just to better understand, if you receive 10 units, you sell 8 and you stale off 2, you have a net 0. And so this is like an inventory management way that the home bakeries can make sure that there isn't theft, product isn't disappearing, and they're really getting paid on the product. So it's important to understand your inventory adjustments and make sure that you have a process to control these, and make sure that you're not really running into any overages or charges there. And then as we roll into differences in invoice structures, you'll find two main invoice structures. You're going to find a traditional chain account and then an SBT account. So a traditional chain account, you're going to go into a store, you're going to pull your sale, you're going to write a delivery ticket, you're going to get checked in with the receiver in the back room, and then the store is going to pay the net amount on that invoice, deliveries versus credits. With an SBT account, you really end up at the same end result, but you're putting the product in the store without them paying for it, and it's going to be calculated on a weekly basis. However many units scan across the register is the invoice that they're going to pay. So this is a really great way to do business. It makes it a little harder to manage inventory, but the amount of time saved by not having to wait on a receiver who has 2 other vendors in line before you can service the store quickly, efficiently, it really is an advantage. Kind of as we get into the pros and cons of chain accounts, with a chain account, you really know on a weekly basis what your check is going to be as soon as you finish the week. So you can run a report that shows, I generated $10,000 in net sales and my commission is X. And so I have a really good idea of what my check is going to be the following week. Where with SBT, you have to wait for the data to come through. And that may be 3, 4, 5 days delayed. When you get your settlement statement, it's going to show how many units scan through the register and then your commission as a part of that. So those are kind of some direct ways that we earn money as we run bread routes, and then some of the indirect ways are also really unique in that as we grow, not only do we build equity, but we're building more commissions as we grow our businesses. So we can build these up. We can decide to sell off a portion. We can sell the whole business. We can split it into 2 truck operations. There's really a lot of advantages to just the space in general.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too far down that road right now, but just can you talk a little bit about, you have a territory. So what does it look like when you're adding stops? What's that process? How do you go about adding additional places that you take bread?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when you buy a route, you're going to get a territory that's going to describe the stores that you're purchasing, the 52-week average sales volume, like we talked about earlier. But as you're evaluating that, you need to understand that you can grow the sales within those stores as well as you own the territory. And so any place that you believe you can sell bread within that could be restaurants, that could be convenience stores, that could be Walgreens, stores that, aren't a huge grocery presence, but still do drive traffic. This could be prisons. This could be schools. There are lots of different opportunities. Catering companies is a great way to, find incremental sales that isn't as consistent as a grocery route, as a grocery store, but there's some incremental sales that you might not have had otherwise.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Now, you can't go too far down this road, but are there some bakeries that people should look for when they're thinking about, whether it's SBT versus chain, or whether the commission structure is more favorable? How would you kind of think about some of the best or most premium bakeries there?
Yeah, every route is really going to come down to time and effort. And so your premium products, your premium brands, these are going to be lighter, easier products to work with, like a Pepperidge Farm cookie route, like a Pepperidge Farm bread route. And every brand has an advantage. So you want to look at market share and see how much space each store has. And that's really going to dictate a lot of the workload. Bimbo is a great brand. They promote their product a lot. They cover a lot of different SKUs from bread to bagels, breakfast breads. They have pastries. So they have a bunch of Nature's Own is a tremendous brand. They have one of the largest, I believe the #1 selling wide pan bread in honey wheat. So that's a great market. Mission Tortillas, they're a great business. They're a little harder to work with, but they have a tremendous brand, and the brand really demands the service. So they're heavier to work with. They're a little more bulky. They require more service just because of the volume that the stores do. But they're a great company to work with as well.
Got it. And then I think another thing that might be helpful for people to think through is, how much revenue per week should you be shooting for on a route where you start to feel like it's a good route, where it's enough? And then the other question that's kind of part of that is, how much is too much? What's the level where you're like, okay, I've got to get a second truck on the road because I can't keep up with this? Any kind of rough numbers there, I think, would be helpful.
Yeah, that's going to come down to both dollars and unit sales. And so as an owner operator, kind of your baseline for viability is maybe $5,500, $6,000 a week in sales. That's going to be very manageable. That's going to be easy for an owner operator, but a little bit harder to have an employee, a full-time employee, because there just isn't enough margin. So as you grow, $8,500, $9,000 a week is a good metric to start bringing on some help, to start growing your operation. And then as you grow, if you start hitting 15,000, that's going to become a little bit harder to capture all the sales in each store just because of the time it takes. And so you're going to think about, splitting that into 2 routes, bring on a merchandiser to help you. There are lots of ways that really route dependent that you can grow in a wise way.
Okay. And I think 2 other points with that is, do you typically find that when people are looking for growth, that they try to grow the stores in their existing territory? Or do you often find that people try to look around for contiguous territory or stops that they can add on? And maybe that's through purchase, or maybe there's some other process.
Yeah, great question. So both end, really. So you want to make sure you take care of your core business first, right? If you're not taking care of your core business, your main grocery stores, you don't want to pursue other business until you have that handled. So as soon as you have a good handle on that, you're growing within the store, you can start looking for other opportunities outside of that.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So, I think the important thing for everybody to hear is, stores pay in different ways and bakeries pay in different ways. So there's layers of complexity there. One, understanding the structure of the bakery you're working with, and also understanding any kind of promotions or different things that they're doing. They're going to affect how much you actually get paid. That's kind of a rolling challenge that you have to deal with, of what are the promotions this week and how is that going to affect how volume is going to double on product X, and how is that going to affect how much I get paid. So there's a lot to think about around scheduling and ordering the right amount of volume, and also thinking through how much you'll get paid. And so there's that on the product side. There's, there are stores also and different ways that you're paid, the SBT versus the chain method. that are going to affect how your settlement looks each week and how much you're taking home each week. So, we're just barely touching on it, but those layers of complexity can add a lot if you don't really know what you're walking into, if you haven't thought through how that should affect your ordering and how much that means you're going to make in a week, which then affects how much money you have to pay employees, how much money you'll have to take home. So there's a lot that goes into the early stages of bread. You can think about how, at the end of the day, all you're doing is your truck is showing up and dropping off the bread. That's not the hard part, really. The hard part is making sure you have the right product in the right place at the right time, and that you understand how that will affect how much money you make at the end of the day. And so, we talk about this all the time in a lot of our spaces in FedEx and Amazon, where the simplicity can come in terms of you're just taking a truck and delivering a product to a place, and at the end of the day, that's the easiest part. But there's a lot on the front end, and there's a lot when you think about things like returns that and stale bread that Steven's talking about that can change, affect your day outside of those the kind of simpler operational things of delivering the bread to a stop. So what we wanted to do today is just kind of help you see how payment works, and then help you think through the different layers of this that you'll need to be able to understand and apply to your own business, or we can always help you as you're going through that process to make sure that we're walking beside you and showing you our experience, mainly Steven's experience, to help you make those right decisions in the scheduling and success of your business early on. So we're going to go to Q&A in just a second. But so if anybody has any questions that they want to ask Steven or I, whether it's about the topic we talked about today or anything about the space, we'll be there to answer it. Before we get there, I just wanted to quickly touch on our new listings for the week. So we had 4 new listings. The first is out of Florida. It is 2 bread routes at $352,000. And this one's doing $13,446 in weekly revenue. And there's a truck that's available as well for a separate purchase. So any questions on that, we're happy to answer them. We've got another one out of Western Florida that is one bread route at $175,000. This also has a truck available, and it's doing about $8,000 in weekly revenue. We got another one out of Northern Ohio that is one bread route at $200,000, doing $13,774 in weekly revenue. And then the last one is out of New York. It is 2 bread routes at $40,000. So this is a really cheap one. It's doing $14,708 in weekly revenue. And there's a merchandiser as well. So this is one that's a pretty big operation that they're basically just ready to walk away. And so it's a really big opportunity if you're in that area and looking to get in. That's a lot of weekly revenue. They have a merchandiser, and so there's lots of value there, and at a low price point if you're in the area. So we're in the Q&A. I'm not seeing a bunch come in, so I'll give you guys a reminder before, as kind of what your next steps can be if you're still interested in this space. So first off, we're always going to be here. You're going to have us at 2 o'clock every week, Steven and I, on everything that we have to talk about. And all of those will always be on our YouTube page afterwards. So if you miss one, don't worry. We'll make sure that you have it, within the week. Then you can go and watch it. We're going to have the 101 course that is live right now, which you can go and sign up for and register as a kind of a crash course online to learn about the space. And we're going to have a digital new investor summit very soon that is really designed as a way for us to teach you about the space and make a decision on whether or not bread is the right industry for you. That's kind of the explicit goal, is at the end of that summit, we want you to be able to make an educated decision on if this is the space that fits your skill sets and fits what you're interested in. And like we always say, if you decide that you want to proceed in this space, there are ways that you can work with both Steven and I to understand the space and also have operational consulting leading up to your closing and after your closing as you become an operator and are operating in the space. If there are any other questions you have, feel free to reach out to our team directly at info@routeconsultant.com, whether it's directly to us or if you have questions about any of the listings I mentioned. The other thing too, just as a reminder, if anyone wants to go to the expo that we have in August this year. That is our giant contractor expo. And it's focused on FedEx, Amazon, all of these new silos as well. So bread will be featured. And it is completely free to attend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The only thing that you have to make sure you do is, one, register so we know you're coming, have your name tag ready. Two, make sure that you book a hotel room just so that you have somewhere to stay. Other than that, food, drink, entertainment, education, vendors, all of that's free and included. So hopefully we will see you there. And other than that, I think we will go ahead and call it this week. So Stephen, thank you so much for being here to answer questions. And if anybody has those questions, links to everything I just talked about are in the chat below. So if you're trying to find any of that stuff, you can click on that. Other than that, Stephen and everyone who's on this week, thank you for being here, and we will see you all next week.